Mr. Harani, can you call your first witness?
Thank you, Your Honor. My first witness is Mr. Jon Jones.
Mr. Jones? Madam Clerk?
Do you want to swear or affirm?
Affirm.
Do you affirm that what you're about to tell us is true?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harani?
Okay, Mr. Jones. Is Jon Jones your full legal name?
Yes.
And you live in Dorchester, Ontario, right?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I'm a construction worker. I work for the City of London doing things like road repair.
Now, you heard Mr. Freeman give some testimony in relation to a woman named Tanya Turner. Do you know Ms. Turner?
Yes, of course.
Okay, and can you tell me when you met Ms. Turner?
We met about 11 years ago.
Okay, and can you tell me about your relationship with Ms. Turner over the years?
We started dating shortly after we met. We dated for about 8 months. We got engaged. Got married in around year 10. Married for about 3 years or so. Hit a snag in our marriage. Wasn't really going to work out. So we decided to sort of go our separate ways. We didn't talk for a while. It was a bit awkward. But eventually became friends again. And we were friends right up until by the time of Tanya's death.
Okay. And so you said that you were married to Ms. Turner 10 years ago?
Yes.
And the marriage ended 7 years ago?
Yes, so it was 3 years, yeah.
Okay, so for the 3 years that you were married, did you and Ms. Turner live together?
Yeah, of course.
And where did you live?
We originally lived in an apartment in London, Ontario, and then in April of year 7, spring of year 7, we moved to a house in Dorchester.
Okay. And that house in Dorchester, is that the one where it's the subject of this hearing today?
Yes.
Okay. So can you tell me about the circumstances under which you and Tanya came to own that house?
Well, the house we were staying at in London was tiny. It wasn't even a house, it was a one-bedroom apartment. So Tanya wanted to get a family going, have a dog, a backyard, things like that. Based on our income, we really couldn't do that here in London, so we ended up going to Dorchester where we could have all those things.
Okay, so did you shop around before you bought the house?
Oh yeah, we both looked at a ton of houses.
Okay. And so this house in particular, did you both want it when you saw it?
I really wanted it when we first saw it, but Tanya really had to convince her that it was the right house for us.
Okay, so she didn't want it originally.
No, it was the house was a little bit of a fixer-upper. Not that there was any real structural problems with the house, but there were some dings around the house, some wear and tear from the previous owners, and things like drywall repair needed to be done, crayons on the walls from the previous owners, things like that. But Tanya was a little bit of a princess. She liked the upscale house, and I really had to convince her that I'm a construction worker. I can do that work myself, and we can save a ton of cash too. I can do that work and give her the upscale house that she wanted for half the cost. So eventually she gave in, and we got the Dorchester house.
Okay. So whose house was it?
Both of ours. Both of our names were on the deed, and we bought it together.
Okay. And so when did you and Tanya move into that house?
That was in April of year 7.
Okay. And what happened after that?
As I mentioned before, we started arguing a lot. We could see that, unfortunately, as these things happen, the marriage just wasn't working. So we decided to get separated, and eventually we got divorced.
Okay, so when did you and Ms. Turner get divorced?
That would be in February of year 7, officially.
Okay. And when you and Ms. Turner got divorced, what happened to the house?
I left, and she stayed there.
Okay. And you guys did you make any changes to the deed?
No, not at all.
Okay, and what about your keys?
I kept my key, and she didn't ask for it.
Okay. And what became of the relationship with Ms. Turner?
Like I'm sure most divorced couples, we didn't talk for a while. It was awkward. But after a couple of years had passed, sort of our relationship became amicable again, and we became friends.
And around when would you say you and Ms. Turner began talking again?
Probably sometime around year 4.
Okay. So in August of last year, you and Ms. Turner were friends.
Yeah, we were still friends.
Okay, and you heard that Mr. Freeman testify. You heard Mr. Freeman testify that he met Ms. Turner around August of last year.
Yeah.
Do you have any knowledge of that?
No.
So, did Ms. Turner tell you about Mr. Freeman at any point in time?
Yeah, she mentioned him.
Okay, and when did she mention him?
Probably sometime around November of year 1.
Okay, and what did she tell you about him?
She said she was talking to some guy online, and she liked him. That she wasn't really sure where it was going, and that it was going to be hard, and that it was hard because the guy, I think, lived in Manitoba.
Okay, and did you speak to her after November?
Not in person. No, after around December, construction season sort of wraps up. So I hadn't seen my parents in Florida for a while. So I jumped on a plane and went to Florida, and I wasn't going to come back until March of that year, until construction season popped up again.
Okay, and so you said that you didn't talk to her in person.
Yeah.
Did you talk to her in any other way?
By email.
Okay, and what was the context of the email conversations that you might have had?
She wanted to get in touch with me. Mentioned something about, we talked about a lot of things, but one of the things was that she wanted us to go to the land registry's office together.
Okay. And what did you tell her?
Well, like I said, I told her, I really don't have time to do that right now. I'm in Florida, so it's impossible. But I can give her a shout, and we can do that when I come back in March once construction season starts up again.
Okay, and then so you came back to London in March.
Yes.
Okay. And did you speak to her after that?
Not really. I tried to get a hold of her a couple times. She was really busy. She was, I think I got a hold of her a couple times, and the first time she said that she'd like to have dinner with me, actually.
Okay.
But that she was really busy and needed a little bit of time to figure out when we'd meet up, and she'd get in touch with me to figure out when that was going to happen.
Okay. Do you remember when that was?
I believe the first conversation we had was in April of that year, and then again we touched base again in May, and that's when she said she'd have to call me back to arrange something because she was so busy.
Okay. And did she ever call you back?
No.
Okay. So then what happened after that?
After that, I hadn't heard from Tanya in a while, and got a call from her sister letting me know what had happened, that Tanya got struck by lightning. I was shocked. First of all, who gets struck by lightning? Second of all, she was in perfect health. I talked to her before, not too long ago in May. So I was obviously floored. Her sister told me about the arrangements of funeral and all that stuff, and that's about it.
Okay, and when was the funeral?
End of June.
So did you go to the funeral?
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay. And so what did you do after that?
Well, after the funeral, I went to the house in Dorchester because, as I mentioned before, we were joint tenants, and now with Tanya gone, I was the owner of the house. And I went to the house, I tidied it up a bit, cleaned up the lawn, tidied up the yard a bit, watered the plants, cleaned up the fridge, bought some groceries, tidied up, just general work around the house, that sort of thing. I changed the locks, most importantly, because the house is getting a little older now, and I wasn't sure who had the keys at this point. So.
Okay.
Just, Mr. Randy, I need to ask a question to clarify. So you still had a key to the house after having not lived there for some time?
That's correct. Tanya never asked for that.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones, you said that you and Ms. Turner were joint tenants. How did you come to think that?
Our real estate guy, my real estate lawyer told me that. He said, if anything happened to one of us, we're joint tenants, so he basically said that the other one would get the house. That's what he told me.
Okay. All right. So when you went back, did you notice a car at all?
Yeah, there was a Mustang on the driveway there. Yeah.
Okay. What happened to that Mustang?
The keys were in the kitchen, so I just pushed it into the garage. I didn't want anybody to break the windows or anything like that, so I just left it in the garage.
Okay, so it's still in the garage?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And did you notice any other work being done around the house?
Yeah, there were some ongoing repairs. You know, I mentioned before that the house had some, some upkeep that needed to be done, and it was clear that there was some work going on. But I mean, I canceled it. I mean, I'm a construction worker. There was no point in paying other people to do a job and bugging me all day for stuff that I could have done. So I canceled it.
Okay. And when you went back, did you notice a ring at all?
Yeah, there was a ring on the in the upstairs bathroom, I believe, on the counter, and so I took the ring, went to I needed some money, so I went to a local pawn shop. The guy at the pawn shop told me it runs for about $1,500. Offered to sell it to me for. He offered me $1,000 for the ring. I took it, and I gave him the ring.
Okay. And at any time during all this, did you ever think you were doing anything wrong?
No, why would I? I mean, it was my house. I owned it. I was on the deed. When I left the house to begin with, I mean, I left it just because I just didn't feel that Tanya should have been the one that had to leave. So that's why I left.